Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Oh, thank you. You think Jai Radha Madhava or what's the process? Okay. Om Agyan. Yeah, and that's it. Okay. I mean, all of this, right? Okay. I mean, I do that too, but I just sing the Sanskrit. No translation. Oh, for the class, the verses. Okay. Yeah. So you read the book? Oh, yeah. Okay. Mhm. Okay. No, we'll follow that. So first all Sanskrit, and then all English translation, and then purport. I see. Okay. Fine. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. Um, so because I think the time is till 8:20. We have time till 8:20. So let me put my clock. So we have 40 minutes and 11 verses. That's a lot to cover. I speak 90 minutes on one verse. So I'll try to make it succinct today. So we will start by the introduction prayers in the page, in the beginning page. So please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll sing the introduction prayers. Om Ajnanatimurandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sacha Shri Rupam Sagarajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Sacha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, since we don't have much time, I'm going to, so the verses we are supposed to read is from chapter 4, text 25. Text 25 to 35. So today, just for today, Guruji said I can do what I want. Since, like I said, we don't have much time. We will do 34 and 35 today. Okay? It captures the previous verses. So instead of going by verse, and by the time we finish, it might take a lot of time. So we'll do 34 and 35. And then the 25 to 33 is a common theme. It has the same points, in different, Krishna explains differently. So I will do the conclusion of this 10 verses, right? And then sort of reflect back on those 9 verses. So that the total 11 verses, 25 to 35. So let's do 34 and 35. This is a very, Prabhupada quotes this verse like pretty much in every lecture. Very important verse, 34 and 35. Okay, so I read and you repeat? Yes, okay. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena stvaya upadyakshanti te jnanam jnaninas-tattvadarshinaha. Uh, Translation: just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. 35. Yagyatva na punarmoham evam yasyasya pandava yena bhutani asheshani drakshyasya atmani ato mayi. Translation: and when you have thus learned the truth, you will know that all living beings are but part of me, and they are in me and are mine. So text 34 purport. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following this principle of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and a person in the disciplic succession can convey this message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretenders. The Bhagavatam says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive this knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Enquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, enquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. One should not only hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him. In submission and service and inquiries, a bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind towards the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. Text 35. Purport. The result of receiving knowledge from a self-realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, is learning that all beings are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. The sense of separated existence from Krishna is called Maya. Ma means not, ya this. Something that we have nothing to do with Krishna, that Krishna is only a great historical personality, and that the Absolute is the impersonal Brahman. Factually, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, this impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence of Krishna. Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of everything. In the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Even the millions of incarnations are only his different expansions. Similarly, the living entities are also expansions of Krishna. The Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that Krishna loses his own separate existence in his many expansions. This thought is material in nature. We have experience in the material world that a thing, when fragmentally distributed, loses its original identity. But the Mayavadi philosophers fail to understand that absolute means that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1, and that 1 minus 1 is equal to 1. This is the case in the absolute world. For want of sufficient knowledge in the absolute science, we are now covered with illusion, and therefore we think that we are separate from Krishna. Although we are separated parts of Krishna, we are nevertheless not different from him. The bodily difference of the living entity is Maya, or not actual fact. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna. By Maya alone, Arjuna thought that the temporary bodily relationship with his kinsmen was more important than his eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. The whole teaching of the Gita is targeted towards this end. That a living being, as his eternal servitor, cannot be separated from Krishna, and his sense of being an identity apart from Krishna is called Maya. The living entities, as separate parts and parcels of the Supreme, have a purpose to fulfill. Having forgotten that purpose, since time immemorial, they're situated in different bodies as men, animals, demigods, etc. Such bodily differences arise from forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. But when one is engaged in transcendental service through Krishna consciousness, one becomes at once liberated from this illusion. one can acquire such pure knowledge only from the bona fide spiritual master and thereby avoid the delusion that the living entity is equal to Krishna. Perfect knowledge is that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the supreme shelter of all living entities, and giving up such shelter, the living entities are deluded by the material energy, imagining themselves have a separate identity. Thus, under different standards of material identity, they become forgetful of Krishna. When, however, such deluded living entities become situated in Krishna consciousness, it is to be understood that they are on the path of liberation, as confirmed in the Bhagavatam. Muktir hitya anyata rupam swarupena vyavastitihi. Liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position as a servitor of Krishna, Krishna consciousness. So I want to thank Prabhuji and His Holiness Dhanvi Goswami Maharaj to give me this opportunity to share a few thoughts of mine. My name is Anand Jagannath Das. I live in Des Moines. I've come here for a conference, 2 days. I'm the disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami. I came to Krishna consciousness in India, in Chennai. I'm from South India. Chennai, I don't know if you heard of this place, in 1998. And by the mercy of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, I have been somehow still in Krishna consciousness. It is definitely not an easy task, as pointed out in these verses today. So today's verse, or rather the chapter we are reading, is called Transcendental Knowledge. Jnana Yoga, Sannyasa Karma Jnana Yoga, different terms are there. So this last verse that we just read, right? Krishna says that what is transcendental knowledge? If you have to take away point, home, take home point, 1 point, right? What is that point? What is that? If somebody else, what is transcendental knowledge, right? This is that verse. We are all, everything belongs to Krishna. Everything, aham sarvasya prabhava, mattha sarvam pravarti. Everything, not just the gopis or the devotees. It's everything, non-devotees, animals, plants. So what is that we take home point is everything emanates from the Supreme Lord. Janmadi yasya yataha. Krishna is the origin of everything. Etechamsa kalapoksham Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original source of all living beings. Mamaivamsa jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. Manashashtani indriyani prakritishtani karshati. That we are all within a particular type of body and struggling hard with the 6 senses, including the mind. But we are actually part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaivamsa. Mama eva amsa. He's actually speaking with confidence. Mama means unto me or mine. Eva means certainly. It's not randomly. And sanatana, eternally, not just some point in time. Mama eva amsa. Amsa means my image. In the Bible it is said, we are created in the image of God. This is the actual verse. So what is transcendental knowledge? Is to actually come to this consciousness that Krishna is the benefactor of all living beings, that we are parts and parcels, we belong to Krishna. So this is not an artificial disposition on the mind, this chanting. You see, people may say that, the common man. That's what Prabhupada says in the purport, that apparent disconnect, am I too loud? Just want to make sure. Yeah. The apparent disconnect is called Maya. It seems like it, right? Like, I don't see Krishna. We are here. Any of us have seen Krishna face to face? So they say it's your belief system. You believe in this. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in this. I believe in that. So you stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine. This lane mentality is called Maya. There is no multiple lane. There is only one lane. That is one big lane, that is Krishna's lane. We may have different ideologies in the term, we may have like subset of ideologies. We may have, different nomenclature. We call different things in Prabhupada says, in English you call the sun, and then in Sanskrit you call Surya or Bhaskara, or like that, different names, right? Sol, I think in Spanish. But we are pointing to that same object in the sky. So theoretically, first we need to be strong on theory. There's no question of practice if there's no theory. You understand? Which means it is our job, like the student, of course. My job is to ask the right questions to clarify whatever doubts that I may have. If we don't do that step, we'll start following this blindly. And that's what Prabhupada says in text 434. No blind following or absurd inquiries. Absurd inquiries, I'll give an example. This happened in 1967 or 66, I can't remember. So when Prabhupada initiated the first band of his disciples, Prabhupada made this comment that a spiritual master knows everything. Okay. And so one disciple made an absurd inquiry, and he said, Prabhupada, do you know how many windows are there in the Empire State Building? Does that mean knowing everything? But this is a type of absurd inquiry, because this is not what knowledge is, knowing the number of windows or doors or how to fix a pipe or, become an engineer or whatnot. This is not considered knowledge at all, according to the Vedic paradigm. Knowledge begins with Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body, I am Brahman. This is the beginning of knowledge, believe it or not. Where material knowledge is ending, spiritual knowledge is beginning. Einstein and the entire the field of quantum physics ends in this point. It started with the Newtonian classical physics 500 years ago, and then gradually developed with the advancement of technology. And in the early 1900s, we came to this nanoscale technology where we are trying to study atoms and protons and electrons, and they come to the concept of consciousness. Something else is going on. We can't figure this out. And they have not figured it out in the last 100 years, you see. So the premise or the speculative theory is that there is a intelligent design or something beyond human comprehension that is controlling something at that nanoscale. There's so many experiments. An example is the slit theory experiment or something like that. Huh? Double slit, yes. So they can't explain because the atoms are behaving as a wave and a wave and also particle. So they can't figure this out. So they think that when the researcher or the scientist is intervening, it behaves different. So the concept of consciousness is brought into here. So this idea that modern science comes to a rigid stop. Just I read 3 days ago that scientists starting to accept, this is just funny how they say this, that animals may have consciousness. You look at the word starting and may. They don't even, do you even know anything? I don't think they do. They pretend like they do though, with all these fancy language and everything. But for a lay person, everybody knows animals feel pain and you feel pain. The animal is hungry. You don't need a PhD for that. So consciousness is really a difficult subject matter for scientists to grapple because their whole ideology is everything comes from matter. So this is not knowledge. Prabhupada calls it in Sanskrit, he uses the word nipuna. Nipuna literally means an artisan or an expert. So let's say something breaks, you fix it, right? You're an expert in that field. If something breaks, this microphone, or somebody knows engineering, or they fix something building, it's not considered knowledge from a Vedic perspective. Although we think PhD and we glorify this person. So absurd inquiry. It's not how many how many windows are, and it's not a question to ask to your spiritual master, because that has nothing to do with the self. We think, believe it or not, when we leave this room, we are so absorbed in this body, we can't but think from a bodily perspective. Try to understand. It may sound very easy, I'm not this body, right? But the second we become hungry, we say, I'm hungry. We don't say, my stomach is hungry. I am hungry. We speak in first person. If you're sick, I am sick. No, you're not sick, right? Look, try to understand. This is not an easy thing. If it was so easy, probably everyone would have figured this out by now. Because we have, Prabhupada says, we have anadi karma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, anadi karma phala. This karma, this fruitive mentality is anadi. You can't even trace its source. So, in this scenario, where is the question of coming to realization in chanting Hare Krishna for like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? People ask, Prabhupada, I'm chanting, nothing is happening. Prabhupada is a master in this. He doesn't discourage anybody, and doesn't flatter anybody. He just says, be patient. It's one of the qualities. Utsaham, dhairya, nishtha Rupa Goswami says. Patience is a virtue. Not that you chant Hare Krishna, I've given up all of this, and Krishna is not showing his mercy. People, it's like a turnstile. People come into ISKCON, they leave. Because obviously there are problems everywhere, and people come. So if really one wants to stick to this path, one has to have the theory really convinced, which means you really have to study Prabhupada's books and hear his lectures and use, because everybody's different in this room. I'm different, you're different. You may have a different way of looking, and you may have a different set of questions. So you really have to make sure your questions are answered. So therefore, a spiritual master is critical. So what is transcendental knowledge? Everything is part and parcel of Krishna. This is it. Everything belongs to him. And what is the method? So that is Sambandha Gyan, right? There are three things. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan. The Mahaprabhu has divided the Vedic scriptures into three. Sambandha means the relationship between A and B. So A is me, B is Krishna. What is the relationship? To the degree we understand this relationship, to the degree the second step, Abhideya, is strong. Imagine you have a mother or father or wife or children. If you look at it from a biological perspective, right, it's just another human being. Male, female, old lady. That's how they do in statistics. 20% black, 80% white. It's just a number, right? And if you go into the doctor's office, it's the same organs, heart, lungs, same blood. Everybody has the same thing, right? But is this how we interact with our loved ones? Is this how, oh, you're just another statistic, you're just another human body? No, it's that relationship, right? It's so deeply ingrained within our heart. It's more than just human body walking. So Sambandha Gyan, this relationship, is what is called love. If there is no question of Krishna Prema, if we don't have a strong relationship with Krishna, if we have a feeble relationship, then it becomes a sentiment. Krishna consciousness is not a sentiment. Prabhupada always says Krishna consciousness is a science. And the beginning of this science is to understand my relationship with Krishna. And that is what 435 says. I am the source of everything. You come from me. You belong to me. You are mine. Is that what it says in translation? Right? The living entities are mine. They are in me and they are mine. This is a very powerful statement. No one, let me tell you, no one has the authority to speak like this. You can read any scripture, any east, west, north, south, any book, right? You will not find a statement like this in such authoritative fashion. No one is boldly declaring that I am the supreme. I'm not read. There's a inclination of something or some pointing to some kind of God or something, right? That's just like a image or some sort of a, if you're at a distance, you can see something, but you don't know what it is. Bhagavad Gita is the only book, right, that makes everything crystal clear, except for our Indian friends who make it the other opposite. They have this tendency to muddle the whole thing. So this verse don't need any interpretation. It's just on your face, which is everything belongs to me. As simple as that, right? So that is Sambandha Gyan. Second point is once we realize this Sambandha Gyan, Krishna says, what are you going to do about it? You're just going to sit there? He says in 10.8, he says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah, the same point. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam prabhavati. Everything comes from me, right? Everything is emanating from me. I am the source of everything, the first two lines. Iti matva, iti, knowing, matva, what do? Bhajante, engage in my devotional service. Knowing this point, this is very, you can look at it in two ways. You can say, okay, I understand this intellectually. Thank you so much. Now I'll follow you, right? That's one way. The other, or the superior way is, oh, I didn't know this. You're the one who's been feeding me and taking care of me from not only this birth, from birth after birth after birth. It's a spontaneous affection towards the Lord. Now, all of a sudden, everything that is in your house, you look around, everything you come across, people, every memory you have, think about it. You have good memories, bad. Everything is because of that one person. Iti matva, knowing this, you engage in my devotional service. Because everything you have in you, with you, your strength, your ability, because of me. How can you not just fall in love with such a person? Okay, maybe love is a too big a word, but how can you not at least give a credit? Iti matva bhajante mam. What's the fourth line? Buddha bhava samanvita. You become enlightened. This is the definition of enlightened. Buddha. Buddha means enlightened one. This is what Buddha is used here. So, how to engage in this devotional service? Krishna is giving that also. Because I'm so dumb, I'm so manda. In Bhagavatam it is said, Kali Yuga Kalir do, what is that verse? Manda sumanda matayo manda bhakya. In this age of Kali, people are very dull. They are too lazy, spiritually speaking. So Krishna is saying, you're asking too many questions. Why don't you just go to a self-realized soul, Tattvadarshi, who has seen the truth, do three things. You got to do three things. This is the second point. The first is Sambandha. Second is the methodology to revive our forgotten relationship, because none of us has seen Krishna face to face. At least I know I have not seen. So how do I now? Okay, Krishna, I give up my search. I agree, you're the supreme. I have not seen any contradictory statements to you. So you know what? I'm just going to surrender to you. Now tell me what I'm supposed to do, right? Krishna says, seek out someone who has already seen me. Then that is pranipata. Pranipata means seeking. If you are interested in knowledge, transcendental knowledge, what is that knowledge? Krishna is a source of, if you want interested to know this truth, this in truth, Krishna says, seek and you shall find, Jesus says. So that is pranipat. Prakishta rupena nipat. In Sanskrit, nipat means falling down, like a stick falling. Okay? Prakishta rupena means not falling down as a sentiment or a formality. Heart, mind, and soul completely fall. Pranipat. Prakishta rupena is a word which is like a prefix to suggest full immersion in something. When you do something with full immersion, like I can't find an English word on this, but then you are completely engrossed in it, or you absorbed. So that is pranipat. So nipat means I'm going to fall down in front of you, oh my spiritual master, but not simply like a formality. but my heart, everything. This is pranipad. If you don't want to do this, if you don't want to do pranipad, then maybe you might want to be still asking that questions that is Krishna really the Lord and that and that. This is only after we become theoretically convinced. To a certain extent, of course, we don't get realization. We get realization later. But once we are theoretically, then you do pranipad. Then second question is pariprashnena. Prashna means to question. The Prabhupada says, no absurd inquiries and no blind following, by the way. In other words, Prabhupada gives this many times. He was with Maharaj, I forget his name. He was traveling to Australia. And Prabhupada is in the airplane. And Madhava Prabhu, I think his name is. They're together. He's a sannyasi. Prabhupada used to take... so he would say, okay, now you debate with me. You take the position of a materialistic person. I'm the devotee. And then he will argue or debate. And Prabhupada will defeat him. Then he will say, okay, now I'll take the position of a materialist. Now you are the devotee. I will argue with you. Prabhupada defeats him. So Prabhupada says, so when you, pariprashna means you should be able to take any side and be able to understand the subject. Not just in one side. So you should be able to debate. So you take in your own mind multiple sides. And you see if you can find the answer. In your own mind. You don't have to do it with somebody else. Somebody says something, don't just accept because Prabhupada is saying, right? You think about it. It is called Shravanam. First is hearing. Then Mananam. Recollection. Then Nididhyasanam. Contemplation. You recollect what you heard from your spiritual master. Then you bring it back to your mind again. Mananam. Bring it back. Third step is Nididhyasanam. Then you bring it back and do what? Contemplate. What did he just say? Yeah? Then Patanam. Then only recitation. Recitation is memorizing the verses. You don't just memorize blindly. Then Kirtanam. Only then you talk about Krishna. So between Shravanam and Kirtanam, you have these three steps. Mananam, bringing back to the memory or mind. Nididhyasanam, contemplation. And the third step is Patanam, which is if you want to talk about it, you recite the verses. So without contemplation, there's no question of realization. You don't say, Prabhupada said this. So Prabhupada said this so many things. So it is my duty. That is why Maharaj's devotees are here to figure this out. So Pariprashna asks those questions. You know? Not challenging, but to learn. Prabhupada always says that, no challenge. If you want to challenge, then just you can leave. There's no point. Pariprashna. Then what's the result? Once you are convinced, seva, you engage in service. And then you realize the fact that Krishna is the supreme, he's in my heart, he's in your heart. So through the process of service, only. Atha Sri Krishna Namadi, na bhavet grahyam indriya. Sevan mukhahi jikhvado. Sevan. I mean, Krishna Nama is Atha Sri Krishna Nama, na bhavet grahyam indriya. These senses cannot understand Krishna. That's just as this is how it is designed. That's why Krishna is not in any scripture. You won't find, even in the Vedic scriptures, Krishna is mentioned as the Supreme Lord. Somewhere, I think in Rig Veda or somewhere, it is mentioned about Devaki Putra, like that. So Krishna is very esoteric subject matter. It's not cheap. Janma karma cha med divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. Prabhupada says in one lecture, we are not interested in Krishna who is lifting the Govardhan hill. That everybody knows. But we want to know Krishna in truth. In real, not some sentimental imagination. This is so important. Again, it goes back to the science versus sentiment. If we approach Krishna consciousness because I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that, It's just a matter of time. I'm telling you, Maya is very strong. But if we take shelter of Krishna Prabhupada's purports, Prabhupada says, I'm in his books. If you take shelter means you break your head trying to figure it out. Within your heart, you don't have to go and get a PhD on that. I'm saying you should be convinced. Some people are convinced pretty quickly, and they don't move very easily. Some people take time to get convinced. So you have to go through that process. So the second step is Abhideya, which is the methodology. How is their methodology? Approach a spiritual master, pranipad, ask intelligent questions, and then engage in service. These three things. Then, Prabhupada says in the purport, the way this works is a little bit mystical. This is not something you can take a scale or a ruler and measure in a gadget. Yeah. In modern educational system, we pay money to the teacher and they teach you something. So there is no relationship. It's just a commercial enterprise. But in the Vedic paradigm, the only way, you can write that in bold letters, okay? Just put it somewhere here. Is by pleasing the spiritual master. Prabhupada said that is the secret. He uses that. For somehow, this simple one-liner is not going into my head. We are trying to chant 64 rounds. Nothing wrong. But if I have to choose between pleasing my spiritual master and chanting 64 rounds, I would rather do that. So the goal of every single devotee, at least within ISKCON, should be day and night, you wake up and you go to sleep thinking, well, how should I fulfill the mission of my spiritual master? Here's the best part, which I like. There is no question of success or failure. Krishna doesn't say you have to succeed. He doesn't say that. Like material, in this world, you may profess your loyalty to some leader or some teacher, but if you don't materially show any fruits, they're just like, okay, I know you're a good person, but I'm not interested in it. Because you are not showing any results, right? But in the spiritual world, it doesn't matter. What matters is your commitment, sharanagati, your surrender. I just try my best. I'm not succeeding. I don't care. The spiritual master is very pleased. And so how does this work now? Okay, the spiritual master is pleased. Krishna is within his heart. Krishna is within your heart. Tesham evanukampartam aham ajnanachamta. Seeing your effort, you're trying to please my devotee. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasade. Kintu prabhu priyanade. The spiritual master is very dear to the spiritual Krishna. Krishna is saying, okay, fine. What is it that you want from me? And Prabhupada would say, please show mercy to this fallen soul. Therefore, we are not impersonalists. We are not interested in vairagyam more than bhakti. Even though vairagyam and vidya is a limb of devotion, it is not a prerequisite. It's a different. Prerequisite means you have to satisfy those, then only you can go to the next stage. So bhakti only requires one thing. According to Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada says, chapter 13 or 14, he says, sincerity. Your sincere effort to please the spiritual master. Everything that is unconquerable can be conquered. Jnane prayasam, I'll be finished with this. Jnane prayasam udapasya namantayeva shad mukaritam bhavadiya vartha stane stita shrutigatam tanuvan manobir ye ajita jita apit tais trilokyam. This is a verse by the demigods, the Brahma, I think. He says, Jnane prayasam udapasya. Jnana means knowledge. And we are in that chapter, transcendental knowledge. What is the Brahma saying? Don't take your own journey trying to find the absolute truth. That is through knowledge. Jnane prayasam. Ignore it. Udapasya means give it up. Okay. Sad mukaritam. Approach a spiritual master. Sad means saintly people. Listen from their lotus-like mouth. hear about Krishna, Bhavadiya Vartam, his words. Sthane sthita shruti. Sthane means wherever sthanam, you're married, you're brahmachari, I'm married. In your socio-economic status, you maintain that. You don't have to change. Sthane sthita shruti. Hear with your ears. Then Ajita Jita. What Krishna's name is, another name is Ajita. Ajit means he's unconquerable. No one can conquer him. He becomes conquered in the three worlds, Trilokya, simply by submissive hearing. This is sum and substance of these two verses. And all the other 9 verses talk about rituals, the Vedic rituals that normal people, not devotees, he actually talks about that. Normal devotees, not devotee, I'm sorry, normal pious people go through. 9 verses literally talks about different types of rituals that one has to engage. If you're a married person, you give in charity, you perform yajna. If you're a brahmachari, you have to hear about Krishna. And if the different, if you're a yogi, you go to the forest and perform Ashtanga yoga. And in this way, the 9 verses prior to this, Krishna says, these are bona fide processes, which is in the Vedic scripture, which is given to purify one's consciousness gradually, step by step. But, Prabhupada says in one of the purports, in the previous 33 or 32, he says, if yoginam api sarvesham, if you take shelter of Krishna, you don't have to go through all of those processes. So this comes with faith. Faith comes from association and our own personal sadhana. But it can only come by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Our effort is just like a visiting card you give to somebody. It doesn't mean anything. You come and show to your Guru that I want to do this. We please him and he pleased, Krishna reveals. And we make progress. Everything that sounds insurmountable will suddenly start to look easy. So I'll stop here. Any questions? I have 5 minutes. Sorry. I took, any questions? Any comments? Please share. Rosie, you want looking for the mic? Oh. So. Please.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
I really like this point you made at the end that Krishna's Ajita, he can be conquered by submissive hearing. But you made the point that we need the mercy of the Guru. So how can we know that we're actually pleasing the Guru if we don't always have the physical association, the close proximity? So how do we know that we're actually acting in a way that's pleasing him?
It's very simple, Prabhu. Prabhupada said, I'm in my books. Many people ask this question. How, actually in the 1966, when Prabhupada got a heart attack, so he said, I will go to India. And people thought at that time, devotees, that he will not come back. Okay. And so Yamuna Mataji and Malati Devi Mataji and all of them, they were like, especially Janaki Devi, they're all, concerned that we will not come back and we will miss your association. And what do we do? How would we go on? We don't have your physical association. How do we know that we are pleasing you? How we are? Prabhupada said in a letter, he says, if you chant Hare Krishna in America and I'm chanting Hare Krishna in Vrindavan, we are tightly packed. So the first thing to pleasing somebody is to exactly know what they want, not just externally, but internally. This is not pleasing as in, like I was just joking today with my friend. He said, how do you rate my driving? I drove all the way from Des Moines to Kansas. Please rate my driving from 1 to 5. Are you pleased or displeased? That's not what you're talking about, right? Not some external thing. Pleasing is, that's what I said, is esoteric. If you know exactly what your spiritual master likes and dislikes, if you know exactly what Krishna likes and dislikes, and that is in the forefront of your thoughts, right? And you would Even if your mind is going left, right, and center, if you're, no, my guru wants this, my Krishna wants, and you just follow it strictly, automatically Krishna is pleased, because this is the order of the spiritual master. It doesn't require any certification. Prabhupada gives this example. If you're hungry, you eat, you're automatically satisfied. So this satisfaction is an indication in Krishna consciousness that Krishna is pleased with your efforts. This satisfaction, or prasadam, in chapter 2, he says, raga dvesha vimuktaistu vishayan indriyascharan. Raga dvesha, we have this tendency to like and dislike things. I don't like you, I like. Raga dvesha vimukta, you give this up. Atma vashyam videyatma, that means with your mind, you control your senses and follow the rules given by the teacher. Prasadam adhigacchati, immediately you will get my mercy. How you know? That satisfaction. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyaksha Vagamam, direct perception of the self, Krishna. Susukam Kartum Avyayam. You will feel joyful. This joy is our currency. Nothing else. This joy that you will feel spontaneously from within your heart to serve or engage in Krishna, that means you're making spiritual progress. Very simple. That means you got the mercy of Guru, because that it's an implication, it's an inference. Without the mercy of Guru, you cannot feel the joy. So if you're feeling something positive, can be even this small, right? That means Krishna, spiritual master's mercy. But then it's up to you to build it, to keep moving on, not be happy. So it's an esoteric relationship. Vani and Vapu. If you see, Prabhupada said, I'm in my books. Yes, we please him by simply reading his books, distributing his books, talking about Krishna. You don't have this, like I said, this is not a performance. Krishna is everywhere. Mayatatam idam. He sees your effort. That means he understands you are following the spiritual master and he pleases. He will bless you. And that is, blessing comes in the form of renunciation of the material world and happiness to perform Krishna conscious, two things. Very automatic. Hitwan, that's what we read. Mukti hitva anyata rupam swarupena avastitihi. Mukti, or liberation, means to give up anyata rupam. All of these rupa, or forms that we have taken from time immemorial, in this body, that body. And you go to your swarupena, your original form. That is mukti. It's not magical. So what is your swarupa? We just said we are part and parcel of Krishna. You happy to serve Krishna? Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a very simple thing. I'm happy where I am. That is Krishna's mercy, actually. If you find a devotee who says this, you better fall on his feet. Like, this is the pure devotee. I mean, he's not interested in anything. Only Krishna. Anytime he opens his mouth, Krishna. He may not be a great singer or a great audio speaker or traveling like Prabhupada, no. But he loves the Lord because he doesn't care for anything material. This is how we identify somebody. Prabhupada says, how do you know if somebody is a devotee? Anybody can wear a tilak and dress like this. What comes out of that person's mouth? You can get it. I mean, I can go on, but the fundamental point is, how do you know you're pleasing the spiritual master? You will never have mental anxiety, or you'll be happy where you are. It's a like when you're satisfied, when you eat, you're hungry. No, you don't need any confirmation from anybody. It's not a mental thing. It's coming from the heart. You'll just be happy. I'm happy. I don't need proof. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't care what, I'm just happy. Chant Hare Krishna, be happy. But that takes some sacrifice, or you have to show to Krishna, I'm serious. I'm not just, coming and going and pretending like I'm Krishna. No, we cannot, we cannot cheat him. I mean, it's just, so yeah, no tactic works with him. We have to be honest. So that's my answer. I don't know if it's satisfactory. Did you say one or something? Okay. So you raise your hand, bro? Yeah. I know we are like 10 minutes over, so I'm sorry. He said 8:20. I'm thinking 8:30 in my mind. For some reason, it's 8:30.
I really like the point you made about the Shravanam Kirtanam and the threefold process in between.
Uh-huh.
So that's a very practical thing, but sometimes people may struggle with this because it's like people have learning disabilities or something.
Yeah.
So that's one kind of obstacle. What's another important obstacle that gets in the way of this process? Or I guess with building faith, like what's a prominent obstacle in the way of building faith, and how to overcome?
Biggest obstacle in building faith in Krishna is Prabhupada's teachings or anything is that your empathy you show towards materialistic people. This is the biggest problem. When I say empathy, I don't mean we are cold-hearted. We actually agree with this person. Do you understand what I'm saying? The difference? If somebody is struggling and begging on the street, nothing wrong in doing charity and helping the person or feeding him or taking him to the doctor or whatnot. That's not what I'm talking. Empathy is when you internally agree with this other person who is completely material. You're finished. No more Krishna consciousness after that. Because they, the materialistic non-devotees, have nothing to do with Krishna. You see what I'm saying? When we, on this side, yeah, I understand what you're saying. If you think like this, that's the biggest obstacle in your faith. That's a big weed. You see? So we should not do blind following. Okay, I'm just going to blindly follow Prabhupada now. This is why it's a struggle, like to get from here, point A to point B, because you have to be convinced. There's so many people around you convincing you the other way. And if you think, I don't agree with 8 points but I agree with those 2 points in your heart somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Man landed on the moon. If you are going to look at all this evidence and say, sounds about right. They have all these pictures, then difficult, Krishna conscious. So why do we say man did not go to the moon? Have I been to the moon? No. How do you know? I don't know. Very simple. Prabhupada says so. Why you believe in him? He's not a scientist. Because the Shastra says, okay, the next question I want to ask you, why do you believe, man? You didn't go to the moon. Why are you so strong? You believe a scientist. I believe Prabhupada. Tell me what's the difference here? You have to believe somebody. So the materialistic people believe their own philosophies, theories, leaders. They may say, I'm independent. That's actually not true because they have to believe somebody. Because from childhood, they're raised to think like something. Their thinking is influenced by teachers, people, friends, this and that, media, right? So all of the things that you talk to somebody is that this, oh, it makes sense. It's true. You feel some empathy all of a sudden. That's the biggest obstacle. You cannot, we don't disregard them, we don't disrespect them, but we don't follow them either, or we don't accept them either. Like I work in a secular place. If somebody comes to me in a meeting and asks me about something, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to openly say, no, this is right, this is wrong. If you kill an animal, you will be killed by an animal. I said that in a meeting. Everyone looked at me like, oh my God, what's this guy coming from another planet? And I was not even shy about it. I put my phone and said, you killing an animal, you'll be killed. I just walked off. They're looking at me like, what's wrong with this fellow? Now, of course, it's not politically correct and everything. Probably you shouldn't say this, but the only reason I say this is to protect myself because they're so nice and they're right and they're being, we just falling. Boom. So we are in this world. We have to deal with these people. Prabhupada said, yes, you have to associate, but do not. I'm using the word empathy, but he said some other word. I can't remember what it is. But it is on this line that do not take their emotions. Your emotions should be on the lotus feet of your spiritual master. Every word, every sound. And that's what you should meditate on. But as far as practical affairs go, you got to do your thing. You don't have to agree with everybody. Yeah, go about, do your business. But if somebody comes and asks you, be bold. Well, you're wrong. I don't care. You can be the president. I'm not agreeing with you. Why? Because Prabhupada said so. And then you say, you take this book, read it. I always say, and I'll finish with this. The Christians preach, the Muslims preach, and they have nothing. Empty. Their philosophy, literally there's nothing there. You ask like 3 questions, they'll like fall apart. Huh? Like, what do you mean? I have no answer. Then don't preach to me. But we have everything and we are shy. Shouldn't we be like the ones pumping the Bhagavad Gita, thumping the Bible like the Bible thumper? Like, I'm joking, but my point is, we should not be shy in speaking about the truth because we have the information. Those people don't have anything. And they are we should give credit to that. We learn from this. Oh, okay, man, how do you guys do this? How do you manage and organize and speak so loud? Despite there's nothing in it. Nothing in the sense is very, trust me, I'm in Iowa. People they're like, I don't know, I'm like a magnet. There's so many evangelical Christians. And every time they come, like 10 people, I have actually more than 10 people. Yeah, I'm just minding my own business. You believe in Jesus? I certainly do. You're going to hell if you don't. I said I believe in Jesus. Why am I going to hell? So then I said, before even they put the Trump line, you go to hell. I'm ready to go to hell because I can preach Krishna consciousness. Like, that's my Trump card. That's my line. I'm going to say, you're going to hell. I preempted that. I'm going to hell so that I can talk about Krishna. And say, you're a preacher. I'm a preacher. Shouldn't we both be there? Because that's where we need more. There's a lot of demand there. There's a lot of need in the hellish place. Let's both of us go there and preach. You're like, oh, I'm just kidding. I was just joking mostly. And my point is, they really don't have anything. I'm not saying in a bad way, but the fact is, it's very, very, very superficial. So if they can talk, why can't we talk? So we should not sympathize or empathize. We should be confident in what Prabhupada said, in what Krishna has given us. You will not be, even nothing can, don't worry. And just obviously have association. So that's how you strengthen your faith. No empathy towards anything not in this book. You don't have to say it. You can think about it. Don't say it out loud. Sometimes you can get in trouble. I do that with my wife sometimes. She doesn't like it. I get into trouble all the time. But I don't care. Krishna says, I'll take care of you. Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I went 20 minutes over. I really, really apologize.